Let me ask you
Nothingness.
the most important question.
Okay.
Do you hope you're wrong?
Not really.
Okay. I will be stunned. So you hope that there's no eternal judgment and you never see your loved ones after you die.
No, not really.
I hope you all internalize just how dark that is, how sad that is.
I mean, let's think about the consequences of him being wrong. I think it's pretty reasonable for him to hope that that doesn't happen.
I'm going to go through all of the arguments for God's existence.
Okay.
I want you to tell me if you've heard them before or if they are compelling.
Okay.
First is what's called the ontological argument for God, which ontos comes from the Greek. It's the Greek word for being.
Sure.
So the highest conception of human beings, we can only conceptualize that which is real. And so the highest conception of our own, combined wisdom is God. I think this is the weakest argument for God, to be perfectly honest.
Right, I'll agree with you there, yeah.
Yeah, but it is a proof that on an ontological view of God.
Yes, the greatest possible thing that we can think of is God. Therefore, God exists. Yes, I too agree that this is not a good argument.
The second of which is called the cosmological view of God, coming from the Greek word cosmos, which means all-encompassing creation.
Sure.
If you look around with creation, there are 15 fine-tuned measurements that if anyone went off by a micron, our entire existence would not exist. The tilt of the Earth, our proximity to the sun, our configuration of oxygen to carbon dioxide. In fact, we can look at the probability of our existence. It's 1 in multiple trillions that all of this would come together at an exact time, let alone consciousness, let alone human beings, let alone our DNA.
His argument is that there's a bunch of different factors that if any of them were different numbers, then we wouldn't exist. This is true. His next fact that he says is that probability of all those numbers being what they are is 1 in trillion. This is made up and not true. The truth is we have no idea what the probability is of these numbers being what they are. It could be the case that these numbers have a 100% probability of being what they are. It could also be the case that they have an infinitely small probability of being what they are. If it is an extremely low probability, this fact could just be explained by what this man is about to say.
Sure, I want to counter that with the fact that there are millions upon millions of galaxies with millions upon millions of their own stars, with millions and millions of their own planets. If we didn't, I don't think that if this Earth was not in this exact space as it exists now, I think that is also not compelling because we would have found existence on in another location in the universe if it was not just in this space.
I don't have enough faith to believe that.
You don't have enough faith to believe that if the universe is really big and the probability of life existing in a single spot is really small, that the probability of life existing at all is bigger. This is just like basic statistics. It doesn't require faith.
But let me continue onwards. Then there is what's called the teleological argument for God. That comes from the Greek word telos, which means, we get the word telescope. It means goal, destination, or purpose. This here goes to an argument that for every cause, for every effect, there must be a cause. So, for example, we can agree that space, time, and matter exists. We agree.
Yes.
Therefore, definitionally, something that is outside of space, time, and matter must have made space, time, and matter exist.
Not necessarily. We can. There
Well,
could
then
be
it's against
something.
the
laws of reason.
This is assuming that all of space, time, and matter had a beginning, which we don't know. Even if space, time, and matter in our specific universe had a beginning, it doesn't follow that all of space, time, and matter in all of existence had a beginning.
Not because there could always be a universe that existed before our Big Bang. It's not. We could have existed with space, but no matter in a very tiny point. That's what basically the Big Bang was. So I don't see how that disproves atheism. And it's more atheism is more of a I don't believe God exists. Why is this compelling?
Well, I'm going to go through two more proofs of God,
Sure.
and then we'll finish. Then there's what's called the column proof of time, which is thanks to Albert Einstein, we know that time is actually a real thing that can be traversed with enough speed. And in order for time to exist, something timeless must have created it.
It's not true that in order for time to exist, something timeless needed to create it. It's in order for something timeless to have been created, it must have been created by something timeless. In the same way, in order for God to be created, something that's not God must have created him. But just because God exists doesn't mean that something godless must have created him. That assumes that God was created, which you're doing with time.
Finally, there's something called the axiological view of God. I don't know if you know this one. Axios comes from the word, the Greek word judgment. Axios and judgment mean
Sure,
the same
sure.
thing, which basically means that every human being has some form of right and wrong embedded in us. For example, when the Nuremberg trials were happening, the Nazis were not able to say, well, it was just the laws of the land. They actually appealed to a higher power, saying
Right.
that every one of us had some good or evil within us. Out
Okay,
of all-
so that doesn't. I mean, that kind of disproves, right? I mean, if the Nazis were able to point to something outside of themselves and say, hey, this is the reason why we're doing this.
They
crap.
didn't. No, the point is
Okay.
the Nazis didn't.
Okay.
Is that the
Yeah.
people doing the trial did. Meaning the Nazis were not able to
Oh,
excuse
okay.
that.
Okay.
Just because there's good or bad within us does not mean that there must be a higher power that created that good or bad. The same way that there's good that exists within God, but God doesn't need some higher power above him that created the good. And if God doesn't, then we don't either.
So out of all those proofs of God, what if any of them are persuasive to you?
None.
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 Okay. So then what, if you look at a human being and you look at the improbability of our, how we are put together, do you believe that we are largely an accident of multi-billions of years of evolution?
When you say accident, you're presuming an intention behind it. You would never say that a leaf that falls off a tree and falls onto a car accidentally fell onto the car. You'd only say that if someone threw a leaf and then they were aiming for the house, but instead it landed on the car. It accidentally went where they didn't want it to go. That's where the accident comes from. So when there's no intention behind it, then accident doesn't happen either.
So the improbability, though, of our existence and the earth and oxygen and carbon and nitrogen and all of it together, you don't marvel at a human being being able to heal itself when it's cut or grow to a...
No, because we're not the only beings on Earth that can do that. There's a lot of people.
Well, we are the only ones that can reason, though.
Okay.
Do you marvel at our capacity to reason it? Even the ability for mammals or reptiles to reproduce life. You don't see any intelligent design behind
No,
it.
none.
You just see
None.
it as
It's a consequence of natural selection and evolution over millions and probably millions of years.
Yes, just because intelligence exists doesn't mean it needs an intelligence to have created it. In the same way that if God is intelligent, he does not need an intelligence to have created him. Problem with a lot of these arguments is that if you apply them to God itself, then God must not exist either. They're self-defeating.
So we both have faith.
Okay.
I would argue you have a lot more faith than I do. You have a lot more blind faith to believe that everything around you, love, joy, peace, sadness, is all just a construct of neurons firing in your brain.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Even if God exists and he created love and all these different things, they are still boiled down to neurons firing off in our brain. So it's kind of irrelevant to the fact of God existing.
So do you believe that we are just limited to our five senses?
No, I think even science has said that there could be like a sixth sense of.
What is
of
that
the surrounding-
sixth sense?
Like a sixth sense that can be aware of what's surrounding the body. That like I can know that there's another person next to me or there's a microphone in front of me. I can sense that. I don't need to have my eyes. Or I could be blind and I could still know that was there. I mean, I didn't need. I use more than five senses. Science has told us that for decades that we have more.
What do you think happens when you die?
Nothing. Our electronic impulses just stop firing and
Let me ask you
Nothingness.
the most important question.
Okay.
Do you hope you're wrong?
not really. No, I mean I've got
So,
this.
so you don't desire an afterlife?
I consider this life as an atheist the more compelling than even when I was younger and when I was religious, because I think that this is the only life we have. We need to do with it what we can, the best that we can do it, and it's like I said, it's just the one chance we got. We don't have an afterlife. We don't have anything after that. So our goal is to become the best people that we can possibly be in that one chance that we get.
Okay, I will be stunned. So you hope that there's no eternal judgment and you never see your loved ones after you die?
No, not really.
I hope you all internalize just how dark that is, how sad that is. And it's fine, I'm not trying to criticize you. We as Christians have hope that we are going to see our loved ones again, and that we will be in heaven, and that we will be in perfect peace, and that this is not it. In fact, there's something even better awaiting us. So I hope one day that you do seek to find something higher and better, that this is not all for us in our existence. Thank you so much.
Fair enough, thank you.
Thank you.
Just because you want something to be true, you want there to be life after death, you want there to be something to look forward to, does not mean that there must be something to look forward to. There must be life after death. That doesn't follow. So as we went over, none of his arguments actually increase the likelihood of God existing at all, not even like 1%. And a lot of them just defeated the entire idea of God existing at all, because if his argument succeeded, then God must not exist. So I guess it's a good thing that his arguments don't succeed, because then that would disprove God. So, yep, that concludes the video.